This weekend, Australians head to the polls to decide whether to re-elect Prime Minister Anthony Albanese or elect this potato. So what better time to conduct a Roast My Copy Politics edition? This roast, I'll be comparing Albo's website to Spud's to determine who has the most user-friendly website, and you're not going to like the answers. First, what is a website roast? It's an audit of your website that ranks how your website performs against 7 key factors that influence conversion. These include your value proposition, tone, navigation, audience fit, and the impression that your website leaves on the user within the first 3 seconds of them landing on your website. So let's begin. Ladies first. So let's begin with this big girl's blouse. Now, I don't hate his website. It looks great, it's clean, and it's got a big, bold statement. Starts with, let's get Australia back on track. My issue with this is it kind of doesn't mean anything. What does back on track mean? And look, you could say that, well, it's a politician. Of course, they're, using nothing words, but he's trying to sell a product, and that product is him. And he's not really telling us what he's selling, a change for the better for you, your family, and our country. But who is me? He hasn't really identified who the audience is, and he hasn't really articulated what the big benefit of voting for him is. So let's get Australia back on track could mean anything. And in conversion copywriting, specificity is really important. The other thing that I don't love about his site is there's these multiple calls to action, and it's really unclear from a user point of view exactly what he wants me to do next. Best practice with buttons is to have a primary button, which is in a contrast color to the rest of the site, and then a secondary button. It's okay to have multiple calls to action, but not really on top of each other like this. He should really know what's the number one primary action that he wants his audience to take, because if he doesn't know, they certainly don't know, and they're not going to do anything. A confused mind says no. Now, the other thing that I don't love about the above the fold copy is this sign up to receive updates call to action. That means nothing. Why would anybody sign up to receive updates? Updates about what? He's asking us to give him our email address and not really telling us what we're going to get in return. So all in all, I like that he's got a clear title and a clear subtitle, but I just wish they were a bit more specific, and I wish he was clearer about who he was targeting. Statistics show that you've really only got 3 seconds to make a good first impression in the online environment. In that 3 seconds, you have to tell the reader that they've arrived in the right place. And in order for them to feel like they've arrived in the right place, they need to know what it is that you do and that it's for them. Scroll down a little and you're immediately taken to this About Peter section, which isn't in and of itself a terrible section, but it's about Peter. It's not about the reader. A great sense check when you are assessing your own website copy is to consider whether your headlines and subheadlines could begin with the word your. Now, I'm not suggesting that every subheadline or headline begins with the word your, but an analogy that I like to use is that when writing website copy, you are Yoda, they are Luke. They are the hero in the story. You're Mr. Miyagi, they're Danny. What you need to demonstrate is that you can help them with their thing. So your copy has to center them, their needs, and the benefit that you provide to them. About Peter is about Peter Dutton. It's not about the voter. So it's not super convincing. Scroll down a little more and you're taken to this section, which is quite a good one. This is a great way for the reader to segment themselves into their own pathway. So if you want to contact Peter Dutton, there you are. If you're a constituent, if you want to become a volunteer, if you're looking for community grants, these sections I quite like. Whilst if you come up here, there's support, volunteer, there's not really there's no box here for, okay, I'm obsessed with Peter Dutton. How do I get closer to him and help him win the election? Go down a bit further and you just hit the media releases and some contact info. It's pretty light on in terms of information. Now, I'm only assessing homepages here. If you actually go into the guts of the website and you jump over, this actually takes you to the Libs site, not Peter Dutton's site. And this is actually not terrible. I don't hate this. I mean, the calls to the button copy isn't optimized, but, I love how they've broken up the information. It's fairly accessible. There's a video, the way that this information is broken up but I'm looking at home pages and this is not. The home page's job is to get somebody further into the website. And if the home page isn't strong, the user is going to bounce. Next up, 𝗛𝗶𝗴𝗵. Now, if you thought that I was tough on Dutton, you're not going to like this next bit. I do not like this website. From a conversion rate optimization point of view, it is a pretty lightweight website. Anthony Albanese, Prime Minister of Australia. Great. I mean, our plan to build Australia's future, good, but you can really tell that this website was built design first and not UX first, because this button is really recessive. I do like that the button copy isn't just learn more, it's our plan to build Australia's future, but it's a missed opportunity from me. And again, sign up to stay in touch. Why would anybody sign up to your newsletter? Sign up to stay in touch. Tell me, call me to arms. You are the Prime Minister. And look, I get that the PM has to appeal to a broader church than an opposition leader, but, there's both of them, their language their tone is very, very neutral. I particularly expected Dutton to sort of call you to arms a bit more. If you reflect back on the Howard years, Howard was really clear about who his audience was, and therefore his policy was pretty consistent with his audience. Dutton has lost that, and it's like he is more neutral still. And look, he gets a leave pass because he's the PM, but he does not get a leave pass from me for, this user flow, our plan, read our plan, our record, see our record, the electorate of Grainler. There is so much opportunity for him to speak to the pain points and the needs of the audience here and draw them further into the website. And it is bland. And again, I am just looking at home pages, but I even hate these pages. When you come into the website, it is just a wall of text. And I like that he's broken it up a little bit with sort of some really bold headlines and some, there is some bolded copy. There's some bullet points to break it up a bit. I like this. I like that he's sort of breaking it up with imagery, but it really is just a wall of text. The final thought that I want to leave you with is that pretty much every website in the world is asking something of the user. If you're not clear on what that is, you really need to consult your strategy, but you probably have a pretty good idea. In both the case of Peter and Anthony, they want someone to vote for them. Earlier on in the campaign, it might have been donations or volunteers, but at this point, they want people to vote for them. And that's not immediately clear from their website. Think about, when you're taking a look at your own website, think about the next action that you want your customers to take, and ask yourself, when you're assessing your own website, ask yourself what action you want your user to take and whether you're giving anything in return. Don't think that because the website exists in the online environment that the rules of social engagement don't apply. You want something from them. What are you giving them in return? And finally, to the scores. Now, I foreshadowed this, but the winner by a slim margin is Peter. His website was just a little bit stronger. It gave a little bit more context. There was a little bit more benefit copy in. Both sites were terrible, but his was slightly stronger. Boo. Now, this is probably because they had their content writers write their website copy. Content writers are great, but they're not necessarily trained in the fundamentals of conversion copywriting, sales psychology, and user experience. If you want a really high converting website, you want someone who has been trained in conversion rate optimization. If you got this far and you're not totally put off by the fact that I just declared Peter Dutton the winner of anything, you might be wondering how your website performs against those 7 key conversion factors. If you want me to roast your website, write roast in the comments below, and we'll send you a link to book in at the launch price of $99. For that $99, you're going to get that full breakdown of how your website performs against those 7 key factors. You'll get what's working, what's not, and a list of suggestions, as well as 3 core recommendations where I'll have a stab at rewriting the copy for you. You'll get a 10-minute recording of me taking you through that audit, as well as the transcript, and then a 20-minute call at the end to ask me any questions. And as always, if you want high converting copy so good it will give you goosebumps, click on the book a call link in my website and we'll jump on a call and talk about your project.